This is Eric Moore with Mother.com with a quick market update for August 14th, 2019. I trust everybody had a great weekend. Let's take a look here. Begin with the NASDAQ weekly chart and pretty much keeping it simple as long as we continue seeing this line of support on the major averages, so which is this RSI lows line right there. We change colors here. So as long as this line is holding, then that is still a market that is stable. As long as we are bouncing above the RSI 50 on the major averages, what this suggests is that there's a good likelihood that eventually we have to test these previous highs, if not have an opportunity of improving on those price levels. Again, as long as we are holding above RSI 50 and as long as these lines, the RSI lows line on the weekly is holding, the market remains stable to bullish. Now this is the NASDAQ. Same thing can be said if you take a look at the Dow, where we see also the same conclusion in the sense that we are holding above RSI 50, and as long as that's the case, it means that we are going to be stable to bullish with an opportunity of testing previous highs, if not improving on them. Again, there's a simple line connecting recent weekly lows as such, and as long as these lines are holding the RSI lows on the weekly, the market remains stable to bullish. As far as SPX is concerned, we can see that the S&P 500 also similar type of situation. We have this RSI lows line on the weekly. As long as they are holding, the market remains stable to bullish. Now if we go take a look at the daily chart, and I'll give you a good example, it is the NASDAQ daily chart. We can see that around here there seems to be some type of resistance, and the NASDAQ daily captures this in the sense that if you take the RSI top side on the daily, there is some question mark here as to whether the market has enough energy as of right now to clear the daily. So this is the short-term resistance area as far as the daily charts are concerned. It's not a major resistance, but we can see that visually this is where the market is trading at, with a possibility of resistance or possibility of clearing this topside resistance line and increasing momentum to the upside. Now, of course, the key here in the monthly is the NASDAQ has turned positive, and that's a big deal. As far as what it means, the big picture look that was very bearish early in the month has turned. And now as long as the NASDAQ or one of the major averages is positive for the month, this remains a good to stable monthly chart. So anything that keeps the market positive for the month is good. We can see that the Dow and the S&P 500 are slightly down for the month. We can see the Dow here down only 0.28 for the month. And we can see that S&P 500 also down slightly for the month. So because the monthly charts are now stabilizing, in fact, you can even see the S&P 500 in terms of price is getting very close to that breakout level, the previous monthly closing high. In fact, the all-time monthly closing high for the S&P 500, and that is at 2980.38. So if the S&P 500 can clear that price level, that's actually a fresh breakout. And in terms of price, that would be suggesting a market that is looking to record higher and fresh all-time monthly closing highs. Now, one thing we've been talking about, or I've been talking about, is even with a breakout in price, we see that the parameters or the minimum requirements we would need to see for a quality breakout are not there. MACDs are not trading at 3-year highs, so that's not a good setup. And we can see that the RSI is not at 3-year highs and is not trading above 69.1. So even with a price breakout, the breakout lacks quality, which would lead us to suspect that the market ultimately might be prepping itself for a major reversal because of the lack of quality, even if it breaks out around current levels. Now if we look at the short term 2-hourly charts, we can see that there's a little bit of a resistance. As of late Friday, we saw the market pull back, and this can be explained because the market did come back and test its previous break point where it broke recently as of September at those levels. So as long as we are trading below the blue line, the market should be sideways to down on a small time frame setting. So again, we shouldn't spend too much time on the 2-hourlies and the smaller time frames unless you're trading in that time frame. If you're looking to hold the stocks and the ETFs for months into the future, then the weeklies, the dailies, and the monthly are going to have more influence into our timing decisions. Now, if we take a look at, let's take a look at gold, and we can see that after one down month, which is last month, there's a probability of gold setting up for a future breakout. And let me just give you the buy points and kind of stay away from too much analysis. There's an opportunity here for gold. If it can break out, that will be very bullish. That breakout is at, as far as the GLD is concerned, 143.75. So a breakout in price is needed. And the reason why I continue watching this area is because a breakout would push GLD back above 69.1, which would meet one of our minimum requirements. And that would also be pushing the metal ETF to 3-year highs, as we can see here. So that's why we keep watching this area. Minimum requirements are already met as far as the RSI, MAC, and the MACDs with a price breakout above 143.75. Let me give you the other buy points for the other related instrument. GDX would need a breakout above the recent monthly closing high, and that is at 29.86. Silver, by way of the ETF SLV, would need to clear the recent monthly closing high, and that is at 17.15. And we can see here with a price breakout, the reason why I continue watching this area for potential market leadership is a price breakout would move the RSI to 3-year highs. And we can see that it would also be pushing at least one of the MACDs even way above the current status, which is already trading at 3-year highs. So a price breakout would meet the minimum requirements for the MACDs and the RSI. That's why we continue watching this area. We can see that there's another area of the market, which is the solar space. Take a look at TAN, the solar tracking ETF, solar space tracking ETF. We can see with a price breakout here. And let me give you that buy point. That buy point, if it can clear that level, is 30.55. A price breakout will be moving its RSI to 3-year highs. And a price breakout would also be keeping the MACDs, or at least one of the MACDs, at 3-year highs. So definitely meets the minimum requirements. And if we take a look at another area of the market related to commodities in a way, and I'm just going to go to the weekly chart with not a lot to say. This is USO, which tracks crude oil, and we've been stuck in this messy area here. And really, how do you analyze this? It's all over the place. I pretty don't have a conclusion here based on the fact that this has been a multi-month setup where we see that we've been pretty much trading in this wedge as far as the RSI is concerned, and trading in this box as far as the weekly closing prices are concerned. Where it goes next, I don't know. The chart is too messy for me to analyze, to be honest. So I would say maybe the mess continues, but ultimately maybe we can get some type of sustained direction. If we break out, that would be bullish, and if we break down, that would be to the bearish side in the short term. Now, let's take a quick look at cryptos. And I'll be looking at BTC only. And pretty much the total crypto market as a group looks the same. But what we can do here is we see some type of a daily resistance here. This daily break begins this down move. We hit resistance here over the last couple of days. So the daily is showing some type of resistance. And until it can clear this black line, we can conclude that Bitcoin is going to be sideways to down. Now, this is totally contradicting the weekly chart. Now, remember the weekly chart, we talked about this line here, which gave us this break point, gave us a breakout to the upside and turned into support. So I would say that as long as, to conclude here, the main conclusion is on a weekly basis, on a long-term basis, as long as this RSI line is holding, then Bitcoin remains stable to bullish. Well, let me not say bullish. It remains stable, not bullish. Bullish is a period like this where we have tremendous upside momentum. Right now, I would say stability is what I would conclude as long as this line is holding on the weekly. Now, if this line was to break, then that would change the landscape and would suggest a further drop. But for now, the line is holding on the weekly, so I would say we can conclude that Bitcoin remains stable in this area with a probability, as long as the line is holding, with a probability of creeping to the upside over a period of many weeks down the road. But for now, this line needs to hold. Otherwise, a break of that line would take things to the downside. And that line comes from, just in case you are new, that line comes from 2015, I believe. Yeah, 2015. It's this area here. Which gave this powerful breakout. In fact, if we extend it even beyond that, we had another powerful entry here. And we broke down here. And now this is turning into support. So this is a multi-year support line or break line. Anything above that line is stable. A break below that line would suggest that the market is due for another pullback to the downside. That concludes the short video. Otherwise, I'll keep you posted as the week goes along. Do enjoy your week ahead. Eric Muadith, Mother.com. As always, good luck, peace, and blessings. EAC.